Okay, year six. Today we're thinking about geography. We're moving our studies on from Peru and from South America. More broadly, we're looking across the whole of the globe. We're thinking more broadly about biomes and the climate of different areas within the world. Now, climate, we're going to look at how it differs from the concept of the immediacy of weather. And we're also going to understand what biomes are, and we're going to understand how they've been categorized in the past. You're then going to do a little bit of research. You're using the device you're on, or if you've got an atlas at home, it'd be great for you to actually get a paper atlas out. Okay. Right, guys. So how do climate zones vary across the world is the question we're going to be aiming to answer today. We can all ask it, but today we've got to try and answer it. Now, we're thinking initially about the difference between weather and climate. So weather is that immediate daily change. So this week we've seen that when we've woken up, some days there's been snow, but by the end of the day there's been sun. And so within a given day there can be a multitude of different weathers that we see. We see rain, we see sun, we see snow, all on the same day. However, and we describe the weather with different language. Okay, so we could say hot, rainy, sunny, humid, overcast, freezing, snowy. And I'm sure if you just put your mind to it now, you can think of some other adjectives, either synonymous with the ones that we've got there or alternatives. If you thought of some great, if you haven't, don't worry. I'm sure as we progress with this unit, you'll learn different ways of describing both climate and the immediacy of weather. Okay. Now, as we move on, we can think about climate. Climate differs from weather because it's not about the immediacy. It's not about just now. It's the average. It's about how, over a period of time, a longer period of time, the climate shows what the temperature is likely to be, what the weather is likely to be on a given day. It tends to be based on the location, so where you are within the world. So a really clear example of this is the countries within the north of South America, those which are quite close to the equator. Tend to be a lot warmer, a lot hotter climate than places which are near the north and the south pole of the globe. And that's due to their proximity, so how close they are to the sun. Okay, and if we see there, the map of Africa is the one that's most prominent within the globe that we see. And the countries towards the north of Africa are that bit warmer than those towards the south of Africa. Okay, and you actually sometimes see snow within the southern tips of Africa as well, which you wouldn't within the countries on the equator. Okay, now the gentleman who's just come up on the screen is a man called Vladimir Koppen, who is a German botanist, which means that he was interested in the study of plants, and a climatologist. About 120 years ago, so approximately in the year 1900, when Victoria was about to die, unfortunately, we link it to our history. This man, Vladimir Koppen, was doing his research about plants and why they grew in different places around the world. Part of his research looked at the weather patterns within those areas, and this is how he developed into being a climatologist. We can see here him studying the weather by sending up kites and planes, which allowed him to collect data from higher in the atmosphere than he would be able to access himself. This is obviously before many people were able to get into the sky. Now, the outcome of all this was that the Kloppen climate classification scheme was developed. We'll talk about this in detail in a minute, but it's now been developed, as a lot of things are, where one person might come up with an idea, but then others work together with them to develop the idea further. And it's now known as the Kloppen-Geiger climate classification system. Within that system, there are 5 broad concepts of climate. There's tropical, where it must be the coolest temperature there must be at least 18 degrees Celsius. Now, in England, it tends not to get that hot until about April or May each year, whereas for many other months, such as the one we're in now, the average temperature is a lot cooler than that. So we're not in a tropical climate. The second grouping is arid temperature, an arid climate. An arid aridity centres on the extent to which there's not much water, not enough water to grow things there, and that's how Koppen's knowledge of plants links to it. Then there's the subtropical or temperate climates. Now these are ones which are which have an average of greater than 10 degrees Celsius, the coldest must have a temperature between 0 and 18 degrees Celsius. So these are more temperate, so less extreme temperatures. Then we've got the continental and subarctic area, which is Group D, and finally the coolest climate areas, which are called the polar and the alpine areas. So it's 5 different areas. Don't worry, there's not suddenly going to be a test on these. It's just so you understand within his classification system, there were 5 different areas. Now, he wanted to understand it so that he understood where things would grow, which is obviously really important, because if you're a farmer, if you're somebody who wants to spend money growing things, you shouldn't grow them where they're too arid, because if it's too arid, they won't grow. There's not enough water. Only cacti and other organisms that do not need a great deal of liquid to flourish can survive there. We're thinking now about biomes. So biomes are the group or the community of plants and animals that are able to be collectively identified. Okay, so the biome is the area where they live. Okay, so a biome is an area. The communities which have happened because of the location's weather characteristics, okay, and physical characteristics. So basically, it's the things that can live in that space. The things that can live in that space are the biome. Okay. Now we're going to think about these different biomes and then think about the descriptions of them and think about the example of them. Okay, so the first one is the polar biome. Okay, it's really cold and dry all year round, and the example we've got is Antarctica. Okay, so it's that southerly tip of the world. We've got those temperate zones that we talked about. So it's cold in the winter, mild in the summer. Mild means not super hot. Basically, mild is it's a strange word, mild, but it means not over the top, not too hot. And where we are, the United Kingdom is an example of that. We've got those arid places where they're dry and hot all year round, and there not many plants flourish, not many plants are able to live. So we've got the idea of the Sahara Desert. Then within the system here, we've got the tropical zones where it's hot and wet all year round. And near Peru, an adjacent country to Peru was Brazil, where we just studied. And Brazil has the huge Amazon rainforest within it, which is that tropical zone. The Mediterranean zone is a relatively recent concept, but it's this idea where there's dry and hot summers and mild winters. Okay, so countries like Spain, a touch warm, quite a lot warmer than Britain and the United Kingdom, but still relatively similar in some aspects, not super hot compared to the tropical areas. Then we've got the mountainous areas, so places like the Himalayas, which are very cold and sometimes wet all year round. Okay, if we look here, we can see some of these places on the map. Okay, so we see, first of all, sorry guys, I didn't mean to click that on. Okay, now if we look on this example, we can hopefully see it's not coming up very well on this screen, but the top circle, is where we are, the United Kingdom. The one beneath that is Spain. The one to the left, hopefully you can identify as Brazil, because it's quite close in South America to Peru. The one at the southerly element of the map is Antarctica. Then to the right, we have the Himalayas. And to the northern tip of Africa, we've got that Sahara and that really arid biome. So we've got those 6 areas there. Okay, now just moving the slides on. If we look, similar to how Koppen had originally done it, this breaks up the global map, and we see how the different climate zones are split around the world. Okay, we can see the polar, temperate, arid, tropical, Mediterranean, and mountainous zones. Okay, now just here we've got 6 places, 6 locations listed. Now, either using the device you're on and doing a little bit of research, or using your prior knowledge, and I'm sure lots of you have some prior knowledge of certainly where the United Kingdom is. I'd like you to see if you can identify which climate zone each of these locations are in. So we've got North Africa, Russia, India, Central Australia, Eastern USA, and the UK. So if you can identify where each one of those is, which climate zone. So pause the video while you have a go at doing that. give you 5 minutes. So, okay, hopefully you've had a good go at that. And now we can see that we've got North Africa, which is that arid climate. We've got northern Russia, which is that polar climate. We've got the Indian climate, and this element of the Indian climate is that tropical climate. We've also got, as it moves through, the Australian climate, of the arid, so similar to the Sahara Desert. We've then got the eastern USA, so places in the news a great deal at the moment. The climate in the eastern USA is that temperate climate, so similar to the United Kingdom, that temperate climate. Now, we've done a bit of research. Now, what I'd like you to do is 2 pieces of work. Now, the first piece of work I'd like you to do is look at these places which are in the orange box at the bottom. So starting with Alaska and finishing up with the United Kingdom. And then I'd like you to identify, looking at the map, and you might need to look back at the earlier slide, which breaks up the world into the different climate zones. I'd like you to break down where these different 18 places are, so which of the climate zones they're in. Okay, so we've got polar, temperate, Mediterranean, arid, tropical, and mountainous zones. So either by using a phone or another device to do some research, or if you can, have a look at a physical atlas and see if you can identify where Alaska, Japan, the Himalayas, Central America, Brazil, Egypt, Italy, Greenland, Turkey, Antarctica, Poland, Greece, the Alps, Saudi Arabia, Ghana, Malaysia, Chile, and the UK are. So see which of those climate zones they're in. As part of doing that, you'll become familiar with these different places, and then I want you to go on holiday. It's completely against the rules at the moment, I know, so it's going to have to be one of these pretend holidays we go on. And what you're going to do for your second piece of work is you're going to try and tempt somebody to go on holiday with you. So within the blue section of this piece of work, I'd like you to draw the location you're choosing to go to so draw a map in each of it. So maybe draw the continent you're going to, and specifically indicate the country or the city within that country that you're choosing to go to, or the place within the country. Then in the right-hand box, the big empty box, I'd like a picture of what you do there. So if it's a polar region, I'm imagining there won't be much sunbathing. If it's an arid region, you're not going to be swimming. Okay, so have a think about what you're going to be doing in that place, and maybe even draw an image of you doing it. Now, within the middle part, I'd like you to try and persuade me to come with you, persuade me or somebody else. And I know, Kyra, and I know everybody else, you're probably not going to want me to actually come with you. So pick somebody else. Pick somebody you really want to attract and persuade to come. Use some of those rhetorical questions we've looked at in English. Use some of that emotive language and some of those different conjunctions that we've looked at in English to write a persuasive piece of attractive writing that's going to make me come to this place. So in the blue, draw the map. In the white, draw an image of what you'd get up to there. And then using your language skills, can you complete the central element to write down why we should come there? What is it about this place? Where is it? What's the name of the country? What are the features of the climate there? What could you do there? What could you grow there? Thinking about Copland and his botanical past, what could you grow there? Have a good go at it. I look forward to seeing these when you're asked to send them through. Well done for listening. Well done, climatologists. You're all going to be like Vladimir Copland as you grow, I'm sure. See you later, guys. Bye.